Imagine this. You are 7 years old. You live in a tiny house made of wood. There is only one room. You sleep on a bed made of leaves. You have no shoes. You have no books. You have almost nothing. Now imagine this same boy, many years later, standing in front of thousands of people. He is the most powerful man in the country. He changed the lives of millions of people. He is now one of the most famous people in all of history. This is not a story from a movie. This really happened. This is the story of Abraham Lincoln, a poor boy who became the President of the United States of America. How did he do it? Let's find out. Abraham Lincoln was born on February 12, 1809. He was born in a very small state called Kentucky in the United States of America. His family was very poor. His home was a log cabin. A log cabin is a tiny house made from wood. It had only one room. There was no glass in the windows. In winter, cold wind came inside the house. The family had very little food. Life was very hard. Abraham's father was named Thomas Lincoln. Thomas worked very hard every day. He cut trees, he grew food, he tried to make money for his family, but it was never enough. Life was always difficult. Abraham's mother was named Nancy Lincoln. She was a kind and loving woman. She told Abraham stories. She taught him to be good and honest. Abraham loved his mother very much. But when Abraham was only 9 years old, something terrible happened. His mother got very sick. There was no good doctor near their home. Nancy Lincoln died. Abraham was very sad. He cried for a long time. He never forgot his mother. 1 year later, Thomas Lincoln married again. Abraham's new mother was named Sarah Bush Johnston. She was a warm and kind woman. She loved Abraham like her own son. She saw that Abraham was very smart. She told him, "You can do great things, Abraham." Abraham did not go to school very much. In those days, poor children could not go to school every day. They had to work. Abraham went to school for only about 1 year total, but he loved to learn. He walked many miles to find books. He read by the light of the fire at night. He read the Bible. He read history books. He read anything he could find. When Abraham was a young boy, his family moved to a new state called Indiana. Later, they moved again to Illinois. Every time they moved, Abraham worked hard. He cut wood. He helped his father. He worked on farms. Abraham was very tall. He grew to be 6 feet and 4 inches tall, almost 2 meters. He was the tallest person in his town. He was also very strong. He could cut more wood than any other man. People liked him because he was strong, funny, and always honest. Abraham told jokes. He made people laugh. He was friendly to everyone, rich people and poor people. He never forgot where he came from. He never forgot what it felt like to be poor and hungry. When Abraham was a young man, he left his family's home. He wanted to start his own life. He moved to a small town called New Salem in Illinois. He worked many different jobs. He worked in a store. He worked as a postman. He worked on a boat. He tried everything. Life was not easy. Sometimes he had no money. Sometimes he had no food. But Abraham Lincoln never gave up. He kept working, he kept reading, he kept learning. Something inside him said, Keep going. When Abraham Lincoln arrived in New Salem, he was 22 years old. He had very little money. He had no special education, but he had something very important. He had the will to learn. In New Salem, Abraham worked in a small store. He met many people every day. He talked with them. He listened to them. He learned about their problems. He was always honest. If someone gave him too much money by mistake, he walked many miles to give it back. People began to call him Honest Abe. This nickname stayed with him for his whole life. Abraham also became very good at something important, speaking. He loved to talk to people. He loved to tell stories. He could explain difficult things in simple words. When he talked, people listened. His voice was strong and clear. His words were easy to understand. Abraham also made good friends in New Salem. One of his best friends was a man named Jack Armstrong. Jack was the strongest man in the town. One day, Jack and Abraham had a wrestling fight. It was a famous fight. Many people watched. Abraham was so strong and so tall that Jack could not win. After that day, Jack Armstrong became Abraham's friend for life. But Abraham also had a very sad time in New Salem. He fell in love with a young woman named Anne Rutledge. Anne was kind and beautiful. Abraham loved her very much. They planned to get married one day. But Anne Rutledge got very sick. She died in 1835. Abraham was heartbroken. He was so sad that his friends were worried about him. For many weeks, he could not eat or sleep. He cried often. This was one of the saddest times of his life. After his sadness, Abraham decided to work even harder. He decided to become a lawyer. In those days, you did not need to go to a special school to become a lawyer. You only needed to study the law and pass a test. Abraham borrowed law books from a friend. He read them again and again. He studied alone, with no teacher. He studied at night, after working all day. In 1836, Abraham Lincoln passed his law exam. He was now a lawyer. He moved to a bigger town called Springfield, Illinois. Springfield was the capital city of Illinois. It was a much bigger place than New Salem. There were more people, more businesses, and more opportunities. In Springfield, Abraham worked as a lawyer. He helped people with their problems. He spoke in court. Judges and other lawyers liked him. He was smart, honest, and calm. Even when things were difficult, Abraham stayed calm and clear. He also started to think about politics. Politics means working in government, making laws and decisions for the people of a country or state. Abraham thought, I want to help people. I want to make things better. Maybe I can do this in government. He started to speak at meetings. He talked about important ideas. He talked about freedom and fairness. People listened. They liked what he said. Abraham Lincoln was no longer just a poor boy from a log cabin. He was becoming someone important. In 1842, Abraham Lincoln married a woman named Mary Todd. Mary was smart, educated, and strong. She believed in Abraham. She told him, "You will be president one day." Abraham laughed when she said this, but Mary was serious. She always believed he could do great things. Abraham and Mary had 4 sons together. They loved their children very much. Abraham was a kind and playful father. He liked to play with his children on the floor. He told them funny stories. He was a warm and loving father at home. But outside his home, Abraham was also working very hard. He was building his career in politics. In 1846, Abraham Lincoln was elected to the United States Congress. Congress is the group of people who make laws for the whole country. It meets in Washington, D.C., the capital city of the United States. Abraham went to Washington. He worked hard. He spoke about important things. But after 2 years, he did not win his next election. He went back to Springfield. He worked as a lawyer again. For a few years, Abraham was not in politics, but he watched what was happening in his country, and what he saw made him very angry. The biggest problem in America at that time was slavery. Slavery is when people are forced to work for no money. They are treated like property, like objects, not humans. In the southern states of America, there were millions of enslaved people. Most of them were black people. They were forced to work on farms. They had no freedom. They could not leave. They could not vote. They could not go to school. Abraham Lincoln believed this was very wrong. He believed that all people are equal. He believed that no person should be owned by another person. He said this again and again in his speeches. In 1858, Abraham ran for a very important political position in Illinois. His opponent, the person he was fighting against, was a famous man named Stephen Douglas. Abraham and Stephen had a series of famous public debates. A debate is when two people talk about important ideas in front of many people. The debates between Lincoln and Douglas were very famous. Thousands of people came to listen. Abraham spoke clearly and powerfully. He said that slavery was wrong. He said America must be a country of freedom for all people. Abraham did not win that election, but after the debates, everyone in America knew his name. People across the country read his words in newspapers. They loved what he said. They loved his clear, honest, and powerful voice. 2 years later, in 1860, Abraham Lincoln ran for the biggest job in America, President of the United States. It was a very big election. America was in a very difficult time. The country was fighting about slavery. Northern states wanted to stop slavery. Southern states wanted to keep slavery. The country was breaking apart. People needed a strong leader, a calm leader, an honest leader. On November 6, 1860, the people of America voted. Abraham Lincoln won. The poor boy from the log cabin, the boy with no shoes, no books, and almost nothing, was now the 16th President of the United States of America. Becoming president was not easy. It was, in fact, the hardest time of Abraham Lincoln's life. When Lincoln became president, America was breaking apart. The southern states were very angry. They wanted to keep slavery. They did not want Lincoln as their president. So they left the United States and formed their own new country. They called it the Confederate States of America. This started the American Civil War, a war between the northern states and the southern states. It was a terrible war. Brothers fought against brothers. Fathers fought against sons. It was the bloodiest war in American history. Hundreds of thousands of people died. President Lincoln worked every day to end the war. He did not sleep enough. He did not eat enough. He was very stressed and very sad, but he never gave up. He believed that America must stay together. He believed that all people must be free. On January 1st, 1863, President Lincoln did something very important and very brave. He signed a document called the Emancipation Proclamation. This document said that all enslaved people in the Confederate States were now free. It was a very powerful moment in history. Lincoln also worked to change the United States Constitution, the most important law of the country. He wanted to add a new rule that said slavery was illegal everywhere in America, forever. This new rule was called the 13th Amendment. The war continued. It was long and very painful, but slowly the northern states began to win. General Ulysses S. Grant led the Northern Army with great strength. City by city, the South began to lose. In April 1865, the Confederate Army finally surrendered. The war was over. America was one country again.
and slavery was finished. Abraham Lincoln was very happy. He spoke to the American people. He said it was time to heal, time to forgive, and move forward together. He did not want to punish the South. He wanted to rebuild America. But Abraham Lincoln did not have much time. On April 14, 1865, just 5 days after the war ended, Abraham Lincoln went to the theater with his wife, Mary. They wanted to relax and celebrate the end of the war. While they sat in their seats watching the show, a man came up quietly behind them. This man's name was John Wilkes Booth. He was angry about the South losing the war. He shot Abraham Lincoln in the head. Abraham Lincoln was carried out of the theater. He never woke up. The next morning, April 15, 1865, Abraham Lincoln died. He was 56 years old. All of America was heartbroken. People cried in the streets. Newspapers from around the world wrote about his death. He was gone, but his work was done. Slavery was over. America was saved. Today, Abraham Lincoln is remembered as one of the greatest presidents in American history. His face is on the American 1-cent coin and the $5 bill. There is a great monument in Washington, D.C. called the Lincoln Memorial. Millions of people visit it every year. Abraham Lincoln showed the world something very important. It does not matter where you start in life. It does not matter if you are poor. It does not matter if you have no shoes or no books. What matters is that you keep going. You keep learning. You keep trying to do what is right. The boy from the log cabin changed the world, and the world never forgot him.